Good morning, everybody. Daniel Whited right here today in Oceanside, California, San Diego County. And we welcome you to the Doctor's Clinic call where the world is your waiting room. We have Dr. Kurt Fisnick on the phone with us live today, and he's headed where a lot of doctors wish they were going, and that's into the type of science and the type of research that is absolutely going to change the human body and on a cellular level. Doc, good morning. Welcome to the call. And first of all, how you doing? And good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, DW. And I'm doing awesome. It's another great day. Things are just going good. We're having some decent weather, so I can't complain about that. And Chris wanted me to talk about hunting a little bit, so I got to spend some time out with some old buddies of mine. There was actually about 20 of us that ended up hunting this weekend and putting some food on the table for the winter. You know, we don't want to starve, right?
Got to have that protein, buddy. It makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does, and you're getting good wholesome meat that is raised wild, so it's not penned up and eating all these things that we do. Did you know that I think it's like 80% of our antibiotics are given to animals? 80% of the antibiotics in the United States are actually given to animals, not to people.
You know, I did know that. I didn't know 80%, but I knew a large percentage, and the antibiotics that's in the meats that's coming across and the whole 9 yards is absolutely, it's just crazy. I mean, it's changed things so much to where even testosterone levels, and they say a lot of young people aren't getting married because they don't have that testosterone drive to, which is a whole other topic. But it's all coming from the meats and the whole bit there. And, of course, then you got the rubber hamburger that a lot of these companies make, like Mickey's and other places, that are so full of just fake junk, hormones and everything else, that it just, it's beefing up our kids, so to speak, in areas and ways that's not productive.
Oh, it's so horrible, and so when people bring up hunting to me, I always have to bring that up, that I would, if I'm going to be an omnivore and eat meat, I'd rather get it from the wild. But anyhow, DW, I had to bring it up because Chris wanted me to.
Well, he loves the topic. He loves the topic, Doc. But I gotta pile onto this in a positive way. When you're getting the meats that we're intended to eat that are GMO free, okay, so they don't, that is a big difference. And when people talk about grass fed, and so it makes a difference.
It does. And talking about GMO, as you look at the whole topic with GMO, some people think, it's not a big deal. I mean, I live here in North Dakota. It's a farming community. The whole state is built around farming, and I understand that in the competitive world of running farms as a business, they have to have large production, and they have to bump the production up every year in order to stay ahead of it. I was just having this discussion with some friends when we were hunting this last weekend, but the problem with it is that if you take and genetically modify a plant by making it so that it can withstand things like Roundup, glyphosate, and things like that. And glyphosate, really, Roundup, it's not even the worst one on the market anymore. There's some stuff coming out that's actually even worse than that. But we won't get into that. That's a topic of another discussion. But when you look at that, what does it do to your body? Is that without getting into really the whole medical side of it, DW, you and I talked about this probably about 2 years ago on this call. And we were talking about how glyphosate, what it does, one of the things that it does, it blows holes in your digestive system. It blows holes in your gut. And when it does that, that's what we call leaky gut syndrome. And it's just a horrible thing, because what happens now is that your body, the junctions can actually allow things to get absorbed into the system before they're broken down, before they're digested. And DW, I hope you don't mind, but I asked another doctor friend of mine who you met last time, Dr. Kim, to be on the call, and Dr. Kim is kind of a resident expert on this whole thing about the junctions between the cells in the digestive system. And so, Dr. Kim, if you want to hit *6 and join us, and just throw in a little bit about what it means when the junctions are opened up, and it allows things to get absorbed into the body.
Well, Doctor, real quick before we bring Dr. Kim on, bring him on, absolutely. But one of the things, I never even heard about gut health until you first brought it up to me, maybe like 4 years ago. And, I had some questions, and we started working on a couple things. It's a real deal. I mean, there is so much to what you guys are into there. And so everybody that's listening to this, and brand new people, this is crazy good information for you to grab a hold on. Because when you understand what Doc's talking about when it comes to, and it sounds kind of gross, hey, how's your gut health doing? I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but that's just the way it is, Doc. And
yeah,
that's made a difference with us, with Helen and I. Big, huge, ginormous.
Yeah, I used to ask patients, I mean, they'd come in and they'd be complaining of a headache, and I'd ask them, one of the questions I asked, well, I mean, how are you pooping? And they thought, well, what does that have to do with a headache? Right?
Everything. One of the things that you have to realize is that when you take food in your mouth and you pass it through and it comes out the other end, that contents in medical terms, that all that stuff is considered outside the body. That's not inside the body. The contents of the gut is considered outside the body.
Now, what do you mean by outside the body? Say that again.
It's not. It's the same as it being on your skin, right?
Okay.
It's outside the body. It's supposed to be going in. Now you do get some digestive processes go on that take the molecules and turn them into food, which are absorbed in the proper place, and turn into energy. But the contents is, that stuff rots, it putrefies, it produces toxins. You're inhaling toxins just going through, you're eating toxins in the food, the glyphosate. So when you have this leaky gut syndrome, when those tight junctions open up, those little molecules of toxins now can get through there and start migrating around the rest of the body. They actually get in the cells of the body, get in the nucleus of the cell, and create what we call epigenetic change. And that means around genetics, or institute or instigate genetic change that maybe wouldn't have happened otherwise. So it's not, genetics aren't preordained. They have to be instigated by something, and those toxins can do that. So person can say, I have poor genetics. Well, not necessarily. You might be a potential, but that won't happen unless it's instituted or instigated by these toxins that get from outside the body inside the body. That's why the gut is so important. We have what's called GALT, gastrointestinal lymphoid tissue, and they're saying maybe 70-80% of our immune system resides in this tissue around the gut. And when that is compromised due to leaky gut, I mean, that's where almost every disease you can name, every disease process starts. So, Dr. Kurt, you are absolutely right that this is a very, very important topic, and something that, is really starting to be understood more and more. You may have heard the term microbiome. And microbiome is all the good bacteria, the beneficial bacteria that reside in our gut. And we are supposed to have about 30, maybe 33,000 different strains. And when I say different strains, I mean different types of bacteria. I had a person tell me, well, I get 2 billion bacteria in my probiotic. Well, that's all one strain. So I heard a doctor tell me, he said that if the average person walking around today, because of things like glyphosate and the other toxins, may be dealing with only 10,000, 14,000 different strains of bacteria. So our immune system, our microbiome is being attacked on a daily basis. It's really an area for concern these days.
Well, let me ask you a question then. When you're talking about gut health and you're talking about getting the right kind of bacteria in your system, we have the prebiotics and probiotics, the Balance D product, Super Detox, obviously the Ficoid and other things help as well. How much of a difference can we make in somebody's life with our products that we're using?
Well, if you get the digestion fixed, you can help almost everybody. I mean, it's that important.
Okay, so let's talk about what does that look like, the digestion. A lot of people have horrible digestion. They don't even realize it. I mean, they just think, oh, that's just the way my body is. What does a good digestion look like? I mean, I've heard it said by some doctors before. You talk about when the eliminator's not eliminating, you're either in massive trouble, and this is a training that I do. You're either in massive trouble or you soon will be. Because,
right.
And the average person is supposed to be eliminating, unless they have a really slow colon or slow bowels, which means they would eliminate a large amount once a day. But a lot of people are supposed to eliminate. Yeah, so let's find out what is really the facts here. Supposed to eliminate 35 to 45 minutes after you eat a decent meal, and what you eliminate is not to be massively stenchy. It is to be like a golden brown type color, and those are some parameters that I've been taught in the past that are good indicators on if things are getting healthier or not so healthy.
Well, yeah, I think they've done studies with Aboriginal societies where people are eating a high fiber diet, and they haven't been affected by toxins and stress and every other thing, and they will move their bowels probably within an hour after eating every time they eat. So
okay.
That process of eating starts that peristalsis in the gut and starts that whole process. So many people have dulled that urge. They're busy. They got the urge. They say, I'll do it later. And that's not good. We need to be moving and getting things through, because the longer that material sits in that gut, the more it putrefies and rots and produces toxins, and and then if you're dealing with leaky gut, that stuff starts circulating around the body. The skin tone change. I mean, everything is negatively affected in that situation. So
it's like this, Doc, and you guys verify whether these facts are true, but I read in a nutritional book, as long as probably 20 years ago, that when you eat, for example, like a steak, and then you eat a big baked potato, a starch with a protein, those two compounds neutralize, and it takes your body basically 12 hours to break that down and process it and move it through the system. So we'll say you get up in the morning and you eat some fried taters, you eat some eggs and bacon, so there you've got protein. Now it's 12 hours later, so it's 8 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock at night, and you've already had lunch, and you've already had supper. You've had 2 meals before your breakfast meal even started breaking down. And so not eating certain foods, at certain times, not that, a potato will kill you. We know that there's healthier things to eat nowadays. We didn't know that back then. And, not that a steak will kill you, but when you combine the two together, that makes a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely. That's that old food combining thing, eating your starches, your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins at different times. I don't know if I had put a lot of validity into that. I think it's more important these days for what we're learning to really just watch and cut down on the carbohydrates as much as possible, and up the good fats, and keep your protein moderate. Every day I'm reading more and more about what we're learning about the benefits of a high-fat diet as opposed to a high-carbohydrate diet.
Well, I mean, you talk about you get so much fat out of your body that fat, you have to have it to even help build the proper levels of testosterone, the right kind of fats.
Right, absolutely.
And you take that out, and your testosterone level goes down, your muscles go down, your drive in your body goes down, and now you're backed up. Of course, Doc Kirk, we don't mean to leave you out of this conversation, but he is talking stuff right up my alley. I love this right now because I want to master what drives the body forward food-wise and nutrition-wise so we can go about doing those things.
Well, and one of the other things, that as you guys are talking about this and you're talking about normal bowel movements and things like that, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize when you hear the word prebiotic, what are they really talking about? Well, prebiotics are soluble fibers. So as you think about that, that's one of the things that we're missing. They're actually saying that American males, we're getting about half of the recommended amount of soluble fiber in our diet. And so those are the prebiotics. And prebiotics really are the fertilizer. It's the bacterial fertilizer that makes it possible for the healthy bacteria to grow. And like Dr. Kim was talking, 30,000 different strains of healthy bacteria, trillions of bacteria grow in your gut. They've actually said that you have more bacterial DNA in your body than you do human DNA in the human body. And so it's really important if you want to have a good, healthy life, you have to make sure that's up to par. And like DW, like you brought up the Balanced D. The Balanced D, it's got a great variety of a small amount of that, of the different bacteria that we need. It's got some good prebiotics. It's got vitamin D to help kind of set up the stage for what you're supposed to do. But then being prudent in your diet, making sure that you're getting good foods. I think adding like cultured foods. I tell everybody. You want to get some of the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. It's got good healthy bacteria in it. You want to kombucha teas, different things like that to make sure that you're getting the other strains. and somehow we gotta get the society to realize that maybe we've gone a little bit too far with this over cleanliness that we're having. We're everywhere you go, they're spraying antibacterial soap on you and all these different things. But sometimes the bacteria that's found in dirt is the healthy bacteria that rebuilds your gut. And so I know Dr. Kim and I, we have listened to Dr. Zach, this doctor, talk about how you can rebuild that. But really, it's setting up the environment in the body to make sure that works. And like you were just saying there, DW, and then all of a sudden you're going to start seeing the cardiovascular system is going to be less at risk because cholesterol is going to be balanced, triglycerides and sugars and all that are going to be beneficial. And then we start looking at, stress. What does stress have to do with the whole thing? Well, stress is going to cause your body to shift hormones, and the adrenal gland really is the gland that deals with stress. And another word for stress is threat, right? And so if you're being threatened, if there's a lion standing there ready to eat you, the last thing you're going to be worried about is digesting your food, and your adrenal gland's going to say, hey, Kurt, you got to get up and either be ready to fight that lion or you better be ready to run. So all of a sudden your blood pressure is going to go up because of adrenaline, your noradrenaline, your norepinephrine. What that's going to do is it's going to force all the blood in your body out into your skeletal muscle. So all that blood that would normally be right around your digestive system, in the brain, different places like that, it's been forced out of there. And and that's because fight or flight. You're going to run or you're going to fight. And that's what happens when you're on times of stress. Well, you think of the world today, how stressful are we? Everything, every day you turn the TV on and they just want, they stress you out. And then you think of the financial stress, and you think of the chemical stress that we're hit with. How many new chemicals were added this last year in 2017 that we don't even know what they do to us, but that causes chemical stress, and the part of your brain called the thalamus that doesn't distinguish between the different types of stress, all of a sudden this causes a problem, and that stress is going to cause you so you're not digesting your food properly. And as all of, the conversation you guys were having before I jumped in, all of a sudden, now you're not having those normal bowel movements, and that leads us to where we are right now.
So when it comes to where we are right now, let's talk about some things that, and Dr. Kim can jump in on this as well, that people need to be doing that's going to aid themselves along with the nutrition that they're taking. So, when it comes to, let's say someone, I remember someone came to me one time and know exactly who it was, and it was a young gal. She just had turned 20 or 21 years old. Maybe she's 19, I can't remember. And it was one of our Amish buddies, and her mom came and said, man, she's got, you just touch her right where the, right in her stomach and stuff, and she couldn't stand the pain because of impacted bowel. And they had done everything since she was a little baby to help things move through, and things got plugged up. So what we started off doing there, Doc, to help her with that particular cleanse was small doses of Fucoidan multiple times a day, like a spoon you'd eat ice cream with. Just pour that amount of Fucoidan in there and take it, and do that 7 times a day, 3 times with food, the other without. And she did that. Within 2 weeks, she called me, and she was in tears because the pain was going away. Her colon started getting cleansed. And, of course, eventually we added the Super Detox, and then we added Balance D as well, which now her gut health is so back. But this is someone who had an impacted bowel. And when you look at it, you talk about what these just so that the general public can kind of put a kind of a reference on this. You take the great American hero in my life, John Wayne, not just an actor, but John Wayne the man was absolutely incredible dude. But he was, one of these tough guys, and no one's going to check my colon out. No one's going to do that, which means he went a little bit stupid mode. He had 50 pounds of petrified fecal matter in his gut, because he couldn't get things to move through because the digestive tract had gotten blocked, jammed, destroyed, leaky gut, the whole 9 yards, and it led to that. So the years of pain that guy was in, leading up to his death of all this stuff, that was not necessary. He could probably, still be with us today if he would have stopped and went, wow, my eliminator's not eliminating properly, things aren't right here, and let's reverse things. And so, Doc, you're the first one that brought it to me about gut health, and getting involved with, what we do and what we don't do. And, of course, we're learning there's so much more on it now than when you and I first talked. So but I'm throwing that at you guys, so take it away.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I was just watching an old John Wayne movie with my mom and dad over Thanksgiving, and what a great guy. I mean, he was the man. He was the Duke, But you think about that. I mean, 50 pounds of fecal material found in his gut because things just weren't working right, and such an easy problem to really fix. And Fucoidan, you bring up Fucoidan. What does that have to do with it? Well, Fucoidan, it's been called mother's milk because it's similar to what you get from that first mother's milk, the breast milk, that it bumps up the immune system and makes the immune system work right. Well, 60 to 70% of your immunity is found in the gut lining, and just like we were talking about, being so cleanly, all these different things, these soaps and antibacterial soap. Well, your skin is supposed to have a film of really healthy bacteria on your skin, and so if you're eating or if you're washing with all these antibacterial soaps all the time, you're killing that off, and now, like Laura talks about, all of a sudden you can see things are being absorbed in 26 seconds. You can measure it in the urine, and that affects you. That makes it so your immunity goes down. When your digestive system, same thing. If you're eating food that's loaded with antibiotics, like the meat that you eat and that. But what about the plants? You eat that plant that's sprayed with glyphosate and it's blowing holes in the gut. All these different things. All of a sudden, you start to find that your health is deteriorating. And so, like DW was talking about, you have to get that gut work, and the Fucoidan is going to bump that immune system up. And before you can really start detoxifying, I mean, I hear these people saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going on a detox program," and I just kind of sometimes I cringe because I'm like, well, did you make sure that your gut's working first before you went on the detox program? Because if you're pulling the toxins out of your body, but you're not eliminating, what's going to happen is those toxins are going to go somewhere, and they're going to sit in your gut. And what's going to happen is that all of a sudden, and I want to give everybody a good mental picture. It's not a pretty one, but it's a good mental picture. But if you see a deer rotting along the side of the road, one that got run over, by a car in the summertime, it doesn't take very long before all of a sudden you start to see that gut bloating up. Well, isn't that what's happening with you if you have these healthy or these unhealthy bacteria and all this stuff like John Wayne in the gut, and all of a sudden this stuff is just rotting away. And what they found is that there's 6 neurotoxins that you're absorbing from your gut when you have that rotting food in there, and it's not from the rotting food. What it actually is that the bad bacteria are digesting the rotting food. And bad bacteria are living organisms as well, and this is where the gross part comes in. So all of a sudden you start making your neurotransmitters from the poop from the bad bacteria. That's right. I mean, the bad bacteria are pooping inside your gut, and you're absorbing that, and that's what your body's using to build you. And you start having, bad thoughts and things like that, and all of a sudden you can't think straight, and you're craving bad foods and things like that. Well, that's the latest topic of all these studies that are going on, and the National Institutes of Health have actually started a project, much like the Human Genome Project. Now it's called the Human Microbiome Project, and they're actually studying digestive health. That's how important it is. It's not just those of us on the call talking about this. I mean, this is the topic of national interest, because it's so important with what we're talking about with the health, and as we move forward, it really has to be one of the first things that you fix in your body. Otherwise, you're not going to absorb the nutrition. I mean, you can take as much Spectrum Max as you want, but if your gut isn't working right, you're not going to absorb it. So I'm going to throw it back to you guys.
Well, you know how important this is, and we don't realize this, but you know what the mitochondria is, right? In your cell, mitochondria is like the factory in the cell that produces all the energy, and basically without that, we don't exist, we don't live. Do you know that the mitochondria have their own DNA? They call it mDNA, which means that mitochondria in your cell that keep you alive are basically non-human. They're not of you. They're like a bacteria that has developed a symbiotic relationship with you to keep you alive. I mean, that blows me away. I mean, we are starting to understand that we have actually more bacteria, weight of bacteria in our body that is non-human tissue than we have human tissue in our body. So by weight, it's fascinating, and we're just scratching the surface at this point of understanding how to deal with that knowledge, what we could do to help people live longer. But you got to start by keeping your as Dr. Kurt said, keeping your gut moving, keeping the material moving through, and doing everything you can to nurture and sustain and grow your microbiome.
Well, and you're doing that, and so those that are listening to the call, I know we're winding down to time here, but those listening to the call, some of the things we can support you doing is, start making a list of the proper the healthy fats you can put in and through your system, like the fats you're going to get in almonds and places like that. We can get into that next week maybe, because this is a topic I think now that we're open up the possibilities of what can happen here. One of the things you want to do is do your Balance D. And get the proper prebiotics and probiotics going on. And once you got the Balance D going in there, do the protocol. We got a product called Supra Detox. And for those that have a very slow colon, you might want to take one this is just suggestion, do what you want to do. Check with your doctor as well. We don't prescribe or make any promises. But what some people are doing is they're they're going through the protocol and then going through the Balance D protocol as well. It's all in the directions on how to use it. And but those that have a real slow moving bowels or colon, which is fine. That's it kind of goes how your metabolism's working as well. They go kind of hand in hand, which I find to be quite interesting. You want to use the Super Detox on a Sunday night and a Wednesday night, just one pill, just to keep things cleared out and cleaned up as you go along. And then, so that's going to help the digestive system right there, those two things alone. And then going back to what Doc was talking about, the mother's milk, those properties are found in our Ficoidin product. It will boost your immune system 300 to 3,000% in the first 7 days of use. And Doc Viz has given us that information several times. With that said, the stronger your immune system is, the better gut health you have a chance of having. So as you build it up, you're building up your gut health as well. And then don't be afraid to evaluate what you're eliminating and when you're eliminating. Just keep a little journal of what's going on, all the way from the stench to the color to the amounts. You don't have to get down there and weigh everything, but just, if it's for you, whether it's a small, mid, large movement or not, you just jot that down, for your own personal and individual assessment. And, and kind of give you an idea kind of what's going on and just looking at things, seeing where they're at, and then kind of knowing kind of where you are health-wise. Obviously, you're going to be tempted to go through the holidays and jam a boatload of sugar in your system. Sugar is death to gut health, period. It is death. You want to have proper gut health? Great. You want to kill proper gut health? Throw a boatload of sugar on it. So, and Doc, we can't even get into all the sugar stuff, but anything you guys want to say as we close this up?
I was just going to say, DW, in closing that, as we're talking about immune system health, we notice that as you age, you tend to have a lesser degree of immune health. You look at older people, they seem to, when they get sick, it's like you worry about, are they going to make it? But, the immune system is also related, like we're talking about, to stress. It's related to exercise, make sure and get exercise, nutritional health, like we're talking about, adding products, making sure that you stay away from things that are toxic. And as you look at the nutrients, it's really associated with immune response. And when you have a good immune system, you're going to have a decreased rate of disease, So, or when it's strong, everything is just going to be better. So, Dr. Kim, anything that you want to add?
No, I think we covered it pretty darn good. It's a fascinating topic at this point, and the knowledge base is growing exponentially and on a daily basis. So, stay tuned for more.
Well, and Doc, if you have any information you want to post, one of the places you can post it on Sisel Builders on the Facebook as well. And then something I want to tell a lot of our team, we're getting quite a bit of research on the Sisel RIP product, and a Facebook page that Thomas Jr. runs. It's the little @ sign, and then I believe it's, I can't remember what that's called. It's the @ sign at Sisel RIPT, I believe, and so SISELRIPT. You'll find that on Facebook as well. And I may have the numerical digit 1 at the end of it, Sisel RIP 1. And so there's a lot of research being done there on how that, and I'm looking at the amino acids. Man, Doc, can we jump into this, how the RIP and age can help with the gut health? Because I'm just feeling like, man, all the way from abdomen muscles and stomach muscles and all that, as you build these things, I'm not going to go into it now, Doc. That's it for the Doctor's Clinic call. Dr. Kirk Fisnick, thank you. Dr. Kim, thank you for being part of this call. You guys are absolutely amazing. Keep your research going and make things happen. This is the Doctor's Clinic call, where the world is your waiting room, and get the word out that we can help you get optimal health. Dr. Kurt Fisnick, thank you. Dr. Kim, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for being here.